identifying our stakeholders, we identify three groups of stakeholders that might negatively be affected by the problem. So first stakeholder is colleagues. So the risks will be the low productivity, overtime work, playing, and they'll be less motivated. And the second stakeholder is the accounting firm principal. He or she will have less client, maybe he or facing financial stress. The third stakeholder is the clients, and then the firm will be facing bad reputation, complaints, and unsatisfactory.
In approaching this problem, we are using Scrum methodology in helping us to solve this problem in the most efficient and effective method. Scrum started with the scope of project and project backlog, which are the problem contained in the project. We then have to design a methodology using a usable software to help us go through the sprint cycle. The main process of Scrum are the sprint planning, daily Scrum meeting, sprint review, and the sprint retrospective. Sprint is basically the cycle length of the project. We are dividing our project into 3 sprints with varied cycle length, depending on the project complexity. The more complex the project, the longer the cycle. Tax return lodgement for individuals are generally pretty simple, so the estimated sprint cycle for this project is 2 weeks. The second sprint is tax return lodgement for self-employed or contractors. This is usually more complex than individuals, so the sprint cycle estimate would be around 4 weeks. Tax return lodgement for corporate is usually very complex. In theory, the sprint cycle would last more than 4 weeks, but since we are constrained by deadline, the sprint cycle that we allocate is also 4 weeks. To minimize the risk, we would assign the right team member to the right project, depending on the project complexity and the experience level of the team member. We have 3 types of Scrum members, which are the junior accountant, the senior accountant with corporate tax experience, and the head accountant and assistant head accountant. Assigning the project based on complexity and level of experience, the junior accountant would handle the return for individual employees. The senior accountant with tax experience would handle the return for contractor or self-employed. Since return for corporations would be very complex, so this would require more team members to be involved for this sprint to have a similar cycle as the other 2. Hence, all team members would be involved in the sprint. With this approach, all the appointed team members are familiar with the work that they are doing. Hence, this would reduce the risk of making mistakes and overtime hours worked.
Okay, we are measuring the success, and it would positively impact the customer life cycle. So we are considering sprint review process. These are the points considering as a review process. For example, 90% of lodgement time. So we can consider the time management and daily lodgement number, lodgement rejected number, problem lodgement numbers, customer satisfaction and complaint numbers, accountants overwork hours. These numbers we can identify as after the process, so we can identify where we are lacking the experience and where we are heading the project. So for that we are divided into 5 stages. First is discover, education, or purchase, post-purchase engagement, and advocacy. Discover means what we are looking for and which tools and technology we are looking for, and education means we are teaching the junior levels accountants and provide the softwares. Purchase amount of the tools and technology, post-purchase engagement and advocacy. Using this information directly from customers as well as social media engagement, then the company will continuously be published and makes improvements to the services and customer satisfaction experience. So once we finish the task, we are asking customer for the feedback. So once we get the feedback, we are identify which project get more time, and where we are heading, and how we done the job.